afternoon, everyone. Hello and welcome back to the Food Photography Show. Great to have you here with me. If you're here, please do say hello in the comments so I know who I have got with me. Hi, Sherelle. Nice to have you with me. And yeah, if you've got any questions as we're going along, just ask me. That's what it's here for, to be live and to be able to give you a bit of time just to see what happens. Some things might go wrong. It's okay. It's live. We can deal with it. It's okay. Isn't it? It's okay. Okay, so it's not that bright in here at the moment. I've got the lights down because we're going to work with the artificial light today. Last week was really bright and I was constantly struggling to diffuse the light. This week, I've kind of cheated and I'm on the artificial light, which means it's not going to move and everything is going to stay exactly where it is. So, hi Cheryl, hi Caro, hi Fo, hi Hannah, hi Sophie, hi Colin, hi Debbie. Great to see you all with me. So today we're going to be talking about the depth of field in your set, on your camera, and on your lenses. So there's three ways that we can control that difference in what we're doing with our depth of field, which is superb. If afterwards you want to read up a little bit more, my LinkedIn newsletter with the handy QR code above has just got it written down for you. Again, if you need something to kind of digest a little bit more, head over to my newsletter and that will give you more information. So let's get started. Today we're doing fruit, and that's simply because I'm on a detox this week. And if I bought another red velvet cake like last week, it's not going to be good. So it's going to be fruit, and I've been happily picking at the fruit, and that's been great. So I'm okay with that. Hi, David. So we're going to look, first of all, at how we create that depth of field in our food on our set. So the first thing I want you to think about with your set is, should have had one in front of me. Shall I see if I can do a magic trick? There we go. Here's our backgrounds. Beautiful landscape background there. I don't ever use my background drops in landscape unless it's a flat lay. I always turn my backdrops and work in the portrait angle for a really good reason is we can then create whatever depth of field we want. We're not governed by the landscape measurements. We can just keep using it and be able to continue spreading it out on that depth of field. So that's the first thing. So as you can see my set here, it is set in portrait. That is exactly what we want to do. My main hero, my fruit, I was trying to think what I call this. If anyone's got a good idea, because it's not a fruit bowl. There's no bowl. It's not a fruit tower. So I need something more decadent. So my fruit hero, I don't know, is here. This is the main thing that I want to concentrate on. This is the thing that I'm selling. And then in the background, I've got some mint, and then I've got some other little fruits around. And when I am critiquing photos, and I critique a lot of photos, the thing I find myself saying so much is bring it off the background. Bring it off the background. Fruit sculpture. I like that. It is now a fruit sculpture. Well done, Hannah. Thank you for giving us a lovely word for it. So one of the biggest key things with creating that depth of field and doing everything is you got to bring it off the background. When it's on the background, we see all the imperfections in the background. I can already see a stain on my background that I haven't got off. These are the kind of things that are going to show up in our image when we do it. And also, if everything's really close to the background, what that then means is everything's in the same focus. Everything then has the same depth of field. So even though I've got all this lovely space here, putting it portrait, I'm not actually using it effectively to be able to create what I want to create with my food. So at the moment, everything's shoved on the background. let's share our screen and have a look how that's looking at the moment on that background. So hopefully you can see that now. And if I zoom in on Lightroom on that, if you look now at this fruit, everything has got the same kind of feel to it. I can see where the mark here, where the backgrounds have joined. We've got this horrible line across the back. All those splodges on the background. I'm seeing everything I don't want to see. And even though this fruit here is a little bit woollier, look how sharp everything is around there. Does it really cry out to me that I should just be looking at my fruit sculpture? Because I'm looking at actually how interesting the leaves are on the mint there as well. So it doesn't help you with your background. It doesn't help you show that main hero, that fruit sculpture off in all its glory. And it's just all really meh and on the same level. So I hope you can see that there. What I'm now going to do is I'm going to bring the fruit forward and see if we can get a little bit of separation from our fruit sculpture to the background. Okay, so I've just brought it forward. I've left you on Lightroom so that you can have a look at that. Let's have a look and see the difference. Okay, so if we now look between those two photos on Lightroom, let me just see if I can crop it in a little bit so we can see exactly where we want it to be. A little bit too close to the front on that one, but we're not critiquing right now, are we? Okay, so if we now see the difference of what we're trying to do with our shot between that depth of field, it's showing us how just bringing that main hero forward starts to make it so much easier for where our images, where our eyes are going to go to in the image. Let me take one more with a little bit of foreground. Just as it was bugging me about the foreground there, we'll just crop that in and see what we think. Okay, so there with a little bit more foreground. There where we've got rid of it. Let's delete that one. Remove. And then when we go back and we see everything too close together. So I hope you're able to see what it will do for your food photography by bringing that hero, by bringing that fruit sculpture forward, what that is going to do for your imagery. Okay, let me just see if there's any questions so far. No, you're all having a lovely time. Okay, so at the moment, when I look at this, my camera settings at the moment are on 200th of a second for my shutter speed. My ISO is on 200 and my aperture is on f8. They are absolutely bulk standard settings for artificial light. So that's normally where I start. And actually this time it's done what I need it to do. Hurrah, that's brilliant. So that's great. It's got what I want. But what I now need to do is I want to blur the background more. Or I want to make the background more in focus. So we have to then work with our exposure triangle on how we are going to do that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my aperture down a stop to 5.6. And that is going to make my image lighter. So I'm just going to put my ISO down to 100. It might not work. It might, but let's try it. Let's be crazy and see. I might be in the way of the shot there. Okay. So if we look now at that fruit in the background, by going one stop lower on our aperture, therefore we're telling the camera we want less depth of field, we're starting to get it to be more blurred. You see that difference with that fruit just by going one stop? Okay, sorry, I can't see the comments while I'm in here. Awesome. Okay, I like that. Awesome's good. So what we're going to do now is we're going to make it even more blurred. So let's take this down to 4. The ISO I'm going to take to 64. It might be a little bit bright, so I'm just going to up my shutter speed. So we're always working in that exposure triangle. I don't know what this is going to look like. Let's see. Okay, the shutter didn't like it up there. Let's get rid of that. That's what that horrible black line is. It says no, Emma, no. Okay, so it's just going to be a bit brighter while I just demonstrate this here for you. So this is the difference in the depth of field now that we're creating, that we've gone down our aperture to 4.0. We're then at, come on, why aren't you moving? There we go. We're then taking it to the next one. Sorry, Lightroom's just gone. It's flicking between everything and it's gone a bit crazy. Okay, so there's our 4.0. No, it isn't. Come on, Lightroom. Sorry, the whirly thing's going if you can't see it. So this is where we started on F8. This is where we went to on 5.6. And this is now where we've gone to on the F4, aperture 4.0. So we're not actually controlling anything else. We've set our shot. We've set the stage how we want it to be. All we're doing now is working with the exposure triangle to show what that does of how much of the background do you want people to see when they're looking at your imagery? Do you want it to be a big story that's part of it, or do you want it to be a nod to it? So when we go back and look at all of these, we can see how much we want that fruit to be part of the story. And if you're not getting what you want, you can always bring the hero even more forward. We don't want to blur it so it just looks like a mush. We want to blur it so that we know what's happening, but our eyes are still directed right to that fruit sculpture. So I hope that makes sense on the exposure triangle and what we're doing to create that depth of field. Oh, phone question. Have you got all your fruit sculpture in focus at 5.6 and 4.0? I sometimes lose sharpness. I'm not sure. It wasn't what I was demonstrating. I'm not sure, but let's go and have a look. Yeah, I think the only bit I've lost there, Fo, is the back of the banana. And bear in mind, I'm doing this sitting in front of you. I would need to change my focus points if I was behind the camera. So the only bit I'm missing on that one is there. Let's have a look at the one before. The one before, it's a little bit woolly, but it's not unsharp. And then at F8.0, we've got it. So it is holding its sharpness in the main hero there, Fo. I hope that answers that question. But obviously, if I wasn't on this doing it with you, I'd be behind the camera and I would be changing my focus modes, focus points, so that I was getting what I needed to get in the image, or I would photo stack so that I could put images together to get everything sharp. I'm not a huge fan myself of focus stacking automatically. I tend to focus stack manually, and all I would need to do then is loop that little bit out there on the banana and pomegranate and put one in that that was sharp. So it doesn't concern me too much there, but I hope that answers that, Fo. Fo, I didn't say have you, I said how have you. Oh, how have I? Well, I haven't got the pin focus mode. I've got the next one up. So at the moment, the focus pin, I can't show you, it only shows through the camera, is not the tiny pin, it's the next one up. And it's set straight into the middle of that. So that's all I can say. Obviously, different cameras, different focus points on different cameras, but that is the second one up, not the tiny, tiny one. If I was doing one piece of fruit, I would have it on the tiny, tiny one. So I hope that answers that question. I've now answered 2 questions, so there we go. So we've looked at how the set works. Let me just remove for a minute. So we've looked at how the set moves, and we've looked at working with that exposure triangle, that we are always trying to change our F number, our aperture number. With creating depth of field, we're moving up and down the aperture numbers to get the right level of blurriness in our image and in the correct places. But what comes with that, if you've got your little exposure triangle, if you haven't got one, go and print out a little exposure triangle of your ISO, shutter speed, aperture, so that you know each way that you go. If you go down the aperture, it's going to make your image brighter. If you go up the aperture numbers, it's going to make your image darker, and then you need to compensate it with how it goes from there. The focus point area is area plus on my camera. Yeah, I can't kind of get into all cameras. Mine is a Nikon, and I just know that my focus mode will always be on S, single focus, not continuous, or it can take when it's not in focus. And the pins that you've got that you go between them, you've got a little pin, a bigger pin, the whole screen. Mine is on the second one. So again, I don't really want to get too much into everyone's different cameras, because they're all going to be different, especially if you're not on Nikon. I can only speak from what's happening with my camera. Sherelle, you're using your phone still and you need a camera. Should get one next month. Fingers crossed for you, Sherelle. Fingers crossed. Okay, so this is 2 ways that we can control the depth of field in our image. We've got one more that we need to do, and that is by changing our lens. At the moment on my camera, when we look at it, I'm working with an 85mm lens. All my lenses are prime lenses, but I'm working with an 85mm lens because I know that I want the background to look a little bit blurry, a little bit woolly. I want my fruit sculpture sharp and the rest out of focus. However, if you're doing a whole tablescape, you're going to have to go up those aperture numbers. You're going to have to work harder to get everything in that depth of field. And that's where we need to start looking at the lenses that we're using. An 85mm lens is very unlikely to get the whole table in focus for you, unless you've got a little tiny table. So what we're working on here is an 85mm lens. So let's just go back into Lightroom. And this one here is the 85mm lens, just because I knew that that's the effect I wanted. However, let's now put a 50mm lens onto the camera, photograph it, and see what the difference is. So just bear with me. I'm just going to swap the lens over. Okay, we've now got the 50mm lens on the camera. I'm going to take a picture, but the first thing that is going to happen is, because I've changed the focal point, the picture is going to come out darker. So we're not working on film. That's okay. Let's take a picture and see how we need to amend this image and see where it needs to go. Okay, so we're very dark. So we were still at the last settings for the other. So I'm going to 200 ISO. Just going to try that at the moment. My aperture is 5.6 and my shutter speed is 1/200th of a second. Okay, so back to the shutter speed being 200th of a second, back to the ISO being 200. But to get it brighter with the 50mm lens, we've gone for an aperture of 5.6. Okay, so you can see how much more you get into the image with a 5.6. So let's have a look at that fruit now. Looking a little bit woolly, but let's take that now to aperture 8 and give us more depth of field in the back. I'm just going to take my ISO up to 250 to compensate. Okay. So we're back to f8 where we were with the 85mm lens. And I'm going to go another stop. I'm going to go crazy and go to 11. And I'm going to take my ISO to 400. Just need a little bit more light on the back. Sorry, let me just see if I've got those. Yeah. So now at F11, I can start to see that I can get this as sharp as I want it to be with the, well, not there actually, with the 50mm lens. If I just bring the fruit back slightly, let's just have a look at that and see if we can get it all in focus. Okay. So as much as we don't want it that far back, we can now get all of that in focus with a different lens. So creating a completely different view of what we want to do with it. I would say we can show the macro lens as well. Does anyone want to see the macro lens, or does that give you enough? Just let me know if you want me to put the macro lens on. I will just show you the difference with that. That will need to come back forward. If we are, just give me a yes or no. It's time that you went for your lunch. Just really seeing how interested you are. Okay, Caro says yes. So I'm going with Caro. Let's put the macro lens on. This is a 105mm macro lens. Okay, let's have a little look. You love a macro. So at the moment, we're on f16 with a macro lens, and it has blurred at f16. So let's just go crazy and put this down to 5.6. Let's just knock that ISO back down to 100. Let's gamble and see what we get. So that's really dreamy now. The camera moved, sorry. Okay, so now when we look at the difference of being at 5.6 with the macro lens, we can see the difference of what that's doing to the background. So that's got quite a dreamy look to it now. My eyes are going straight to the fruit sculpture, and it just gives, again, a different play on where you take it with your macro lens. So that's kind of it. That's kind of everything that I wanted to show you. If you've got any questions, do ask me. But when we're looking at creating depth of field, we're looking at what we do with the set, how much we spread it out from this background and everything that we've got around it. We're then looking at our camera settings, what we're doing with the aperture and where we have to compensate with the exposure triangle. And then thirdly, it's which lens we've got on our camera as to how we create that depth of field. And they're the three things that you're doing push and pull for all the time, because that will help you decide what it is. no way of doing this is necessarily wrong if the techniques look right, the hero is in focus, the fruit sculpture is doing what we want it to do. So there is nothing there that is anything different. I mean, I've sat here for most of it and we've just changed the camera settings. Other than changing the lens and bringing the fruit forwards and backwards, there hasn't actually been a massive amount of effort on my part. Probably shouldn't say that to a client, of me putting all of that together, because when you understand what you're doing with the steps, it makes it really easy for you. If you want to know more about it, please do, it's backwards, have a look at Scan or go to my LinkedIn and you will see the newsletter on creating depth of field there for you. And also my 5-day challenge is coming back in less than 2 weeks. It starts on the 11th of May. So if you are on my database, then please do join again. If you're not on my database, get yourself on and you will hear all about it. Phone, that's great. I'm hoping to get, sorry, that's come under there. To get a prime 85, as I always use a 24 to 105. Yeah, I think it's like if you are able to set it and lock it at 85 and do what you want to do. I mean, I used to work, I've been a portrait photographer for 15 years and only use zoom lenses. And when I got into food, using the prime lenses was so much easier because the food didn't move. It did what I wanted it to do. And so that worked really, really well. So yeah, if it's something that you can do and you feel you're missing it, then obviously wholeheartedly go get yourself an 85 mil. Caro, loving the 2 pink backdrops. I think I have them both from Black Velvet. Well, you probably have every pink backdrop, Caro, because they're part of your branding. So yeah, these 2 are Black Velvet. Nice shout out. I think that was, oh no. That one's Club Backdrops. Sorry, Club Backdrops. That one is Black Velvet styling. Don't want to upset someone. Cheryl, you're taking part. That's fantastic. That's brilliant. It'll be nice to have you back. So that's it for today, guys. Thanks very much for joining me, and I hope that helps you decide how you're putting your sets together in the future and creating some really good depth of field. David, you generally use your 24 to 105 too. Yeah. If it works for you, there's nothing wrong with it. This is the key thing to say to you. If it works for you, use what works for you. I'm not asking everyone to have everything that I do. I'm on Nikon. I'm on Elinchrom lights. You don't have to copy everything I've got, but the key thing is it's got to work for you. If it doesn't work for you, that's when you could start to look at it and say, right, how do I fix this? So there we go. You're welcome. I'm going to leave you all to it. Great to have you here with me live, and I will speak to you soon. Thanks. I'll be back next Thursday. Bye.